Porkins Policy Radio, offering a unique perspective on everything. Geopolitics, culture creation, the reality of the world we live in. Coming to you live from New York City, your host, Pierce Redmond.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Porkins Policy Radio. As always, I am your host, Pierce Redmond, and you can find this show here at American Freedom Radio, AmericanFreedomRadio.com, as well as on my website, which is PorkinsPolicyReview.com. And of course, you can support my work by going to patreon.com/Pierce Redmond. And we're on iTunes, we're on TuneIn, we're on Stitcher, soon to be Google Play. I know I keep saying that, but we will be momentarily. And of course, we're also rebroadcast on Friday nights on a host of other stations, including Awake Radio. And you can also catch us on Saturdays on KYAH 540 AM in Utah. Well, I hope everyone has had a good and safe holiday season thus far. It is the new year. We're in 2018. And quickly, I want to thank Catherine for recently becoming a supporter of mine on Patreon. So thank you, Catherine. Also, I want to plug the bonus podcast, the Porkins Policy Radio bonus podcast, is out and available. I did manage to sneak it in before the end of 2017. It's a really fun, it's a long episode. Me and Chuck Ocelli reviewed South Park season 21, and we went episode by episode. So lots of spoilers for that, lots of foul language as well, so keep that in mind. And I also want to make everybody aware that Christoph Gehrman and I finally recorded a new episode of Porkins Great Game, which is out and available right now. Highly recommend people go and check that out. We talked at length about the Unquiet Frontier, a very, very important geopolitical book written by A. Wes Mitchell and Jacob Griegel, which is even more relevant given everything that's going on with North Korea and with Iran and these mysterious protests that have erupted. I thought that rather than kind of dump a lot of depressing stuff on you, there's so much going on with, like I said, with Iran, North Korea, and all these things. I thought we could kick off the new year with a slightly lighter episode. So that's what we're going to have for you today. And this is actually episode was requested by a listener of mine, Curtis, who emailed me and asked if me and my sister could do a review of Star Wars: The Last Jedi, the recent installment. So thank you, Curtis, for asking us to do this, because it made my life easier preparing for this episode. But I am joined in studio by my sister, once again, Emma Redmond, whose work you can find at emmaredmond.com. And Emma is previously on the show 2 times now. We did a South Park season 20 review,
yeah,
and we also did the final season of Orphan Black, and sort of, I guess it was like a whole Orphan Black review series. So, Emma, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Did you have a okay New Year's? You said it was a little depressing.
Like, I live in a house with like these idiots that we're trying to kick out. It's been a weird year.
Oh, yeah,
Two
yeah.
days in the year, but it's been a weird year.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably only going to get weirder. But, Emma, we are going to be, as I said, talking about episode 8 of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. So, prepare yourself right now. Spoilers ahead for the entire film and all of the previous films. So if you haven't seen Star Wars, you probably want to turn this off now.
I don't think you're listening to this if you haven't seen a Star Wars
Yeah,
film.
I mean, I'd hope so. But, some
weird.
people get really weird with, like, spoilers and they, like, freak out. But anyway, I actually saw this on December 14th, the day before it came out. Yeah, I know, I was a true fan. There were actually, like, free tickets that a friend of mine got. And I expressed some of my feelings about this on Twitter the day after. And I basically said, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. And I talked about how, like, Star Wars fans are kind of some of the worst fans out there. They're like the hardest to please. They're just sort of like big babies. They either you try to do something new, they hate it. You do something old, they hate it. So Emma, without any profanity, as I warned you before, because we are on AM station, what was your sort of a general take on The Last Jedi?
It's really cheesy.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't really go into it hoping for that much. Like, I thought it could be fun, but and I guess it was fun. It was fun to go. I'm glad I didn't go by myself. It's a fun movie to go and kind of laugh with. I'm very respectful in movies, even the stupidest movie. You could be talking in Cars 8 or 7, and I would still get upset. Not for this one. Go and laugh. It's cheesy.
Yeah, and again, I think this was interesting because it really kind of divided a lot of the Star Wars community. There was like a group of people, including, all the critics, who said this was like the greatest Star Wars movie ever made.
No one said that.
Yeah, that's like a whole, there's like a whole segment of like the community, the Star Wars community, and like critics that were like, this is the best one in years. This is like rivals Empire Strikes Back. And then there was a pretty large contingent that absolutely hated it, for some legitimate reasons, for some that we'll get to, I think probably in the second hour, that are a bit, more complex, and psychological, that we'll describe later. But, I guess, Emma, well, first and foremost, where would you rank The Last Jedi, in terms of Force Awakens and Rogue One? Because I know you hated Rogue One. I think you described, when we left Rogue One on Christmas, you described it as you felt like a battered woman who was just numb to what had happened. And
I did feel very numb. I recently tried to rewatch it. Could not keep it on. I think I even went to the bathroom a couple times, like kept it on, didn't pause it, I wasn't even listening, could not finish it. Yeah, I felt numb, and going into Last Jedi, from what happened at Rogue One, kind of went in feeling a little numb.
Well, what about Force Awakens? I liked
Force Awakens.
I liked Force Awakens
too.
It.
I think it was everything I wanted it to be. It wasn't anything original. It wasn't anything that I haven't seen.
No, it was A New Hope.
It was A New Hope. But it was pretty great. I really liked it. It was fun, had a good pace.
You got to meet, or you saw John Boyega.
Yeah, you were in the bathroom.
Yeah, I was in the bathroom. Yeah. I left. I was like so nervous when we went to see it that I was going to have to pee during the movie that I must have gone like 3 or 4 times once we had like seen it. They were playing, not even the trailers, they were playing like the stupid ads. And I left, I think, just when the Angry Birds trailer had started, just before that had started. I went to use the bathroom, and apparently John Boyega came out, and he was 2 rows in front of us, basically.
I think so.
We were like almost in the front row, and he was like right there. And then I walked back in, and I was like, what did I miss? Oh, damn, the Angry Birds trailer just started, and you guys told me that John Boyega was within, spitting distance.
You didn't believe us for a minute, too.
No, I didn't want to believe it. But I guess to go back to Force Awakens, I thought, while it was a remake, I thought that it was really fun. It was a good popcorn movie. No, it wasn't at all.
It wasn't a bad made movie. I'm gonna possibly argue in this episode that Last Jedi was a bad movie.
Yeah, I think like Force Awakens, while it was obviously like a remake, and that's what J.J. Abrams intended it to be, I still thought that there was like the acting was good. There was like the magic of Star Wars, even though there was a lot of fan service, there was still like this sort of magic fun element. And my biggest sort of problem with The Last Jedi was that there wasn't any of that like magic. It felt, and I think part of that is Rian Johnson, the director, was attempting to kind of brush aside J.J. Abrams' movie and kind of like make this into like its own thing and kind of like push the Star Wars storyline into a different direction.
Possibly a different universe where certain laws that existed in this world
There was definitely a bit of that, but I kind of like respected that they like tried to sort of like kill off the old Star Wars stuff, and obviously I think that's why like some of the more like babyish fans like couldn't handle, this was like you just I think you said it was sort of like finding out your parents had like an affair.
Yeah, you're gonna question all of these things, and it's gonna act as if it ruined your whole childhood.
Right, and that's like how these people they act like you've come in and like murdered your parents in front of them or something.
I felt very betrayed as a kid with Phantom Menace.
Yes, Phantom Menace was probably the first movie I knew was bad when I was a little kid, but I didn't really want to accept it. Like, I knew I was watching something that was, like, garbage, but it's like Phantom Menace, you're like, okay, I'll just kind of put up with pod racers and Jar Jar Binks and the whole racist Chinese aliens and, trade embargoes. It was like everything was just so boring and dumb as a little kid, but I sort of was like, no, it's okay. Like, I can like this. I can get into it. And I did kind of have some of the sort of similar feelings with The Last Jedi. Like I said, though, I don't want to I think I'm going to try my best to sort of play opposite of Emma's more harsh feelings towards the movie. Because I do like that Rian Johnson is trying to kind of make the movie a little bit more his own. And, sort of like throwing away some of the tropes and cliches of Star Wars. And maybe he didn't succeed entirely. You're looking at me like he didn't.
I just don't know if I care for his vision.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe not. Well, I guess we should probably just immediately dive into, I guess, trashing the film. That's what I have in my notes. I guess the first one I have right here. Well, I guess the first one really is no magic. It didn't feel like there was no character development.
No.
We were sort of. I liked Finn and Rey's relationship in Force Awakens, and I liked that there was this like bond between them, and that they seemed, if not lovers, that they were like, they loved each other at least. Mm-hmm. And I found that in The Last Jedi, it's just bum 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 bum.
You didn't like Rey and Luke's relationship on the island?
No, I just didn't get it, it didn't really seem to like click for me. It was just, and it felt like they were, I think, major problem, the movie is a second act. It's a second act that's meant to sort of put all of this information out, to sort of place all of these different storylines together. And some people like that, and I think you can do that, I mean, to get real nerdy. In A Song of Ice and Fire in the novels, there are a couple of books that are basically like second act world, but there's a lot of world building involved. I didn't really see the world building that was in The Last Jedi. We'll get to. I mean, Canto Bight is just a world I don't want to see.
I feel that this movie really threw out so much of the world building that is the Star Wars universe. That is a real world. It's a world with rules and with it's grounded in some fiction to it. And this movie just kind of threw it away, a lot of those things. I left this movie, I'm a big Star Wars fan, I left this movie not really knowing what a Jedi is, not getting the Force.
Yeah.
Also, not really knowing how much slaves are in the universe, and not even knowing who's controlling the universe.
Yeah, I mean...
Who's even controlling the universe?
Well, so that's
What is the Last Order?
The First Order.
First Order.
Yeah. Well, I know. I mean, that is like sort of a problem of like, they reboot the series, but they basically, I mean, they just reboot it with like, so the Empire is done, now it's the First Order, Palpatine is dead, so now we have Snoke, who is like virtually non-existent in this movie, and then has a very I mean, it was like a cool death, I guess.
My biggest disappointment about Snoke was that in Force Awakens, you only see him in a hologram, and this movie is chock full of holograms. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted him in real life to just be a couple inches.
Yeah, like a Yoda size.
Like a little.
Yeah. Well, we find out he's like, I guess, giant, human size. Oh, he's not giant.
Big.
Is he big? I don't even really remember.
He's definitely bigger than. He's not a human.
I guess.
Some kind of weird space alien.
Maybe.
Human hybrid,
I don't know.
maybe.
But does the dark side even have like non-human
Yeah.
Like who?
Darth Maul?
I'm not counting Darth Maul in this story, but I guess. But even Darth Maul was like humanoid.
Yeah, so is Snow.
Okay, all right. Well, we can agree to that. Yeah. So the Force in this, not quite on the level of like midichlorians and stuff, but it did feel like. But you see, I'll disagree with you a little bit there, because I liked that they tried to make the whole Force thing a little bit more ambiguous, where like you could kind of embrace the dark side, and like we sort of see Rey kind of like toying with it, although they didn't go far enough. I kind of wanted her to go like all dark rogue or something.
No, she just went to a cave and snapped her fingers in a hall of mirrors.
You didn't like that scene either?
I did not.
I kind of like. I didn't like hate that. I thought it was like sort of interesting.
It looked cool, I guess.
Well, okay. Here's where I kind of like lost it with the whole like reality of the Force and the little slave boy Force pulling the broom.
The very last scene, yes, there is a scene that has much debate. And a little slave boy from Canto Bight. Sorry.
Yeah, come on.
Excuse me. Uses the Force, maybe. It was a big fight. I think some people didn't see it because it wasn't a very well done scene.
Yeah.
Some people definitely saw him using the Force.
I actually I like saw it, but like sort of pretended like I didn't. I was like, that can't be. I was like, he must have the broom must have like fallen. Like I didn't want to believe that this like dumb little kid.
Or that he used his foot to.
Yeah, something like that. And it was just kind of like, why? You know, like, I know what you mean with the whole like, the Force almost like disappears from the galaxy, you know, or they make it seem like in the old movies that like, the people that like really can use the Force are like Luke, Vader, Palpatine, you know, there's like a few people. And then in this, they kind of talk about how the Force is all around us, and they get kind of more into like the cooler, esoteric meaning behind the Force. But then apparently this little slave boy who never even met a Jedi, you know, it didn't really, I mean, I assume he has some, I don't know, I mean, does like word travel to like the horse racing slave pits of Canto Bight about the Force?
Do you just want to get it over with and talk about Canto Bight?
Yeah, I guess
I think we should really start talking about the nitty-gritty of this movie.
So, Canto Bight is this, well, and here's another problem I just had, that the Rose and Finn storyline is almost completely meaningless. There's no point to it. They're told by the stupid character Maz that they have to find some code breaker, where it's like they don't have code breakers at the Resistance.
No.
When she was saying like there's only one person I know that can break a code like this, I was like C-3PO, please let it be 3PO.
That actually would have been pretty good.
I know, and I would have liked that. Would have been like fun. That was like my biggest like problem was like there wasn't enough 3PO in the movie.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's just sort of like, and all of his lines are funny, even if they're like stupid. Like they're always funny. But I was thinking it was going to be them, but instead they're told to go to Canto Bight, which is, I guess it's like the Las Vegas of the or Monaco. Yeah, it is like it's like a Monaco type resort planet for apparently just the arms industry. And I did like that. I liked that like weapons manufacturers like still exist, like even in Star Wars, like.
Well, they use a lot of weapons in Star Wars.
Well, no, but I'm saying like it wasn't just like it's not just like, well, the Death Star just built all their weapons. Like I like the idea that like no, like they still have like Lockheed Martin like still exists in Star Wars. Like there are still people whose job it is to like build missiles and laser guns that they like sell to apparently to all sides, which was like kind of an interesting nod. You find out that like some of these guys were selling to the rebels, some of them were selling to the First Order. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, Canto Bight, it just didn't feel like Star Wars, right?
It didn't look like Star Wars. I think a lot of this film didn't. Just some of the set design, the direction that they took, it didn't feel grounded. There was always this lived-in quality in the Star Wars universe, and I think it was also so prominent because it was pre-CGI. But when they don't have just tons of
green screen.
Yeah, green screens. It has this kind of lived-in world.
Grittiness.
Yeah, like there's a grittiness to it, and the scenes there, it just sort of felt like a Hunger Games scene.
Yeah, the people kind of dressed like Hunger Games. Yeah. It had like, even like the whole little slave kid thing had like a Hunger Games feel to it.
It looked to me like Phantom Menace.
It did. It kind of had like that Phantom Menace, like sleek, which I guess would be like, I guess the way I justified it at the time was like, they're just expanding the universe. Like, this is how the other half lives, you know, in this sort of like luxury and whatnot. And maybe Canto Bight would exist within the universe. But the set design, it didn't look or feel like, even the sort of like high class stuff in Star, like it didn't work. You know, like it felt like you said, it felt like it was a Hunger Games set. Or it was like another movie.
Yeah.
And then more to the point is, what is even the I hate in movies or books or stuff where, you know, like one of the journeys that one of our heroes has to make is like, well, you've got to get to this place to get this key that then you're going to use to open up this door that's going to help you with, you know, it's just like, why not just have Rose and Finn go to the Resistance and try to hack in? Because at the end of the day, it didn't even work anyway. Instead they meet Benicio del Toro, who was probably my least favorite character.
I disagree. He was actually...
I didn't like him.
I didn't really care for any of the characters too much in it, but I kind of got his point of it. I think at that point when he left, I was like, I would have bailed too. Like, I wanted to bail the movie a little bit.
Yeah.
We would have left the adventure at the same time.
Well, here's the question. So Benicio del Toro's character, who's called DJ, which apparently... yes, that's his name. Yes.
DJ?
Yeah. There's an interview with him, too, where they're like, what does DJ mean? And he says, don't join. As in, like, don't join either side. Which, yeah, lame on a lot of levels. But I think
that's kind of awesome.
No way. This is like my biggest problem with him was like, he showed up and I was like, okay, Benicio del Toro is in Star Wars. Like, it didn't, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, he's too big or too weird an actor for like a Star Wars movie. Like, I know a lot of people knew who Daisy Ridley and like John Boyega were, but I didn't really know who they were. So it kind of like, you know, having these like fresh new people, for me, it was like, oh, cool. Like Finn is just Finn. Like, he is this character. Whereas it was like, oh, like Benicio del Toro, like, got on a spaceship and like flew to Canto Bight and now he's like some weird so do you think he was the real Codebreaker and Justin Theroux like won his like medal that was supposed to like signify him?
I personally don't care. I think possibly all we know for sure is, spoiler alert, is that the Codebreaker that they saw with the lapel is definitely dead from that stampede.
Probably.
Yeah. He is not alive at this point.
See, and this was sort of my problem too, was like with that whole storyline was like, it just seemed like kind of like, let's send Rose and Finn on an adventure to go get some guy to then go back to the First Order, and then that fails. It's like, so why not just have them go to the First Order and fail anyway? You know, but it was like, so they went and they got some guy who wasn't even the original Codebreaker, and then he betrays them. It was like, what the hell were we just watching for an hour and a half with their storyline? Like, it went absolutely nowhere. And I found that was sort of like a lot of the storylines in it, like the slow speed chase, you know, with the rebels escaping the First Order, or resistance, you know, which I don't know how you resist against a government that doesn't exist, but, you know, like that was also like, so basically Holdo, Laura Dern's character, she basically just kills everybody and then her plan also backfires.
I liked her dress. That was one of my only good...
I liked her hair, too, but...
I didn't care for the hair. That, to me, also... No, I don't really remember anyone in Star Wars having colored hair.
Yeah,
it just felt weird. It's just... some of the direction that they've been going, and I also felt the same, or much more so, in Rogue One, is there was two sets. It was Space Mordor, and then there was Space Summer Mordor in the tropical planet, and they were the exact same planet.
Well, and we kind of get that again here where, like, they go to, like, Hoth, but it's, like, Salt Hoth. You know, it's like,
I liked that scene, I thought
it looked cool. I liked the red.
Really cool.
The use of red in the movie was really cool.
Yes,
I liked Snoke's, like, red rumpus room where he, like, hangs out with
that a rumpus
you know, or
room.
his lair with those.
I would like to see Snoke's rumpus room, though. I bet that would be really cool.
Yeah, it's probably pretty free. All those, like, red dudes around him. Well, here's another thing, though, with the like, Canto Bight thing. I mean, did you think that, obviously it's, like, an excuse for Rose to be like, look how horrible the First Order is, like, you know, and they're using children and all that. But, like, did that even, I was almost kind of like, I don't care. Like, you know, I just, like, yeah, it's like, and I hated those, like, weird horse animals. Yeah. Like, those seemed also like, is this, like, they looked like something almost like out of Avatar. Or you know, like some weird, like, I don't know, did you see the trailer, for, like, the Chronicle, or no, not the Chronicles of Narnia, A Wrinkle in Time?
Yes.
Like, those animals looked like something from that trailer. You know, like, I don't know, did you get that emotional feeling out of Canto Bight that you were supposed to?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't. No.
Okay, well, moving on then.
I definitely, was curious because I still feel like I have a lot of questions. I don't even really get what the rebellion is doing. I mean, I get what they're doing, but, like, what's their stance? Are they trying to get rid of slavery in the galaxy?
I don't know. Well, I didn't even really know that existed anymore, but I guess on Canto Bight they, like, well, I mean, then it's just sort of like, are those kids even from Canto Bight?
Do you think that the next movie is just going to be a movie about the kids of Canto Bight learning the Force?
Well, no, so that is a positive. So that's like the theory with the Force pulling little slave boy is Rian Johnson is signed up to make 3 movies after this trilogy ends. And, like, they're going to be, like, his own, like, creation. Like, I don't know, I think he's probably going to direct the first one, and then he's going to oversee the second and third of this, like, new trilogy. So it'll be, like, episode 10, 11, and 12. But I have a horrible feeling that little, like, boy is going to be, like, grow up to be, like, some sort of a Jedi warrior who, I don't know.
New
maybe
Anakin?
Yeah, or like a sort of Anakin, like, / like Daenerys, like, freeing all of the slaves on Canto Bight or something. So, alright, moving on. I think we, you know, screw Canto Bight. We don't really...
I would like to talk about some of the new creatures from Star Wars, because one I found horrible.
Which one is this?
On Luke's Hermit Island, there is I would describe it as a walrus, kind of sloth-like looking creature, and there's just a milking scene, and...
I kind of like that.
I did not like that.
I remember when we were going in, me and Howie, before we went to the movie, we were like, there's not enough, like, alien breasts in Star Wars, you know? Like, we need, like a weird, like, in Total Recall, like the...
There were alien breasts in this movie.
There were quite a bit. There's one on Canto Bight. There's she's got, like, 8 or 9 of them. And then, on Luke's, Jedi... Hermit planet, he does milk, and so a little
drinks it straight from it, like just pours it in a glass, fresh out of
the udder,
the teat. I hope, and just drinks it, and just.
It's probably the best. It's probably fresher that way. You know, I don't know if you. Well, there's definitely no refrigeration on this island. I don't know if that milk stays past you know, a few hours or something. And question, maybe this is just I am colorblind, but are you sure the milk was green? Yes. Because I'm convinced that it was blue, and that's what they drank on Tatooine.
No. They're very drastically different climates.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, maybe they ship it there, you know? Like, it's like a, you know, like there's other...
they probably have some gross, like, hippo alien-looking thing on Tatooine
that
they milk. No, it was definitely green milk. And it's definitely, I guess, just best fresh when it's warm.
Yeah, right. Just warm with a little cream on top. What about the little lizard nuns? I kind of liked that.
I liked them a lot.
Yeah.
I was more interested in their story than the rest of the story.
Well, yeah, I know. Talk about not slaves necessarily, but like, they don't get paid or any. I mean, what are they doing there?
I think it's
They're like Jedi nuns.
Keepers.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that their species is sort of maybe like, they're maids to the Jedi. Like, that's what they're... Yeah.
Because, I mean, prior to Luke being there, I guess they were just there...
I think they're like natives
maintaining...
okay. They had kind of bird feet, and they sort of looked like bird, lizard...
Yeah.
Old
I'm kind of hoping, too, that spin-off, like, Luke and one of them have a child, and that child, maybe that child, like, battles
the child they were
Force
milking.
pulling. No. Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's Luke's son. Or daughter. It's a possibility.
Oh, that is disgusting.
Yeah. Another thing we can't really like avoid. Well, anything else you want to say on Luke's Jedi planet? I liked Yoda was a puppet. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I liked that. That made me happy.
What did you make though of like the Jedi texts and like the sort of like magic tree? Like, did that? I guess I was like, okay, I mean, I suppose the Jedis probably did write stuff down, and like, if we're to believe episodes 1, 2, and 3, yeah, I guess they were like organized and whatever, but like, even that seemed like, it was almost like I didn't want to know that the Jedis did. Like, again, it sort of took the magic out of the Force being this sort of like mystical thing and more into like, here's a book on, like, how to force pull, and, like, this is the explanation about midichlorians or something.
Yeah, I agree with you a little bit. I still just don't really know what the Force does. They changed so many things that I thought I believed. I thought I knew. Also, God exists, apparently, in Star Wars.
Do they say God?
They say God twice.
When?
I know at least once they say Godspeed.
They do say Godspeed,
and I believe
yeah.
they say it twice. They say Godspeed, which...
I know, I was like, what God? Like, which one, you know? Yeah, that was... I remember when they said Godspeed, I was just like, wait a minute. I mean, not that there wouldn't be gods and religion in Star Wars, because obviously the Jedi thing is sort of this, like, quasi-religious order. They can't marry.
I was waiting for them to do God Bless America.
Yeah, I know, the Godspeed was weird. It was like, or I wish they had done like a God's speed, like plural or something. What? Yeah.
Really?
Or like Goddess speed.
It would be funny if we found out all this time that it was actually, they were still just a Judeo-Christian society.
Yeah, right, yeah, this is just, yeah. Well, in terms of the not understanding the Force, because I think that was we were introduced to a few new Force powers or stuff in this. I guess we can't avoid it. What did you think of the Force astral projecting between Kylo Ren and Rey? I sort of liked it, but also, like, didn't quite get what was, like, they can do that? Like, they can touch?
I think that's how Jedi's date.
Is, right.
I think that's how Jedi's date.
That's like the Tinder of...
Yeah. Well, I could live with a little bit more than, I guess you can also sort of just hologram yourself using the Force anywhere you want.
Well, I mean, that feels like you have to be like really, well, so they kind of set that up when, like, who's the evil Admiral Hux? Remember when he's like, he fails to do something?
I kind of like him.
I like him too. Yeah, I think he's good. He's like the great sort of like crazy, pissy, like son who never really, can never impress daddy. And he's just sort of biding his time. But when he like fails to catch them or something, and then Snoke appears as like a giant hologram head. Yeah. Snoke is like halfway across the galaxy, but he's still able to like force push him. So I guess that was like, they're sort of setting that up to like, if you can do that, maybe you can like force project yourself like Luke does. I mean, it obviously like kills Luke. Spoiler. It sort of kills Luke at the end, or
Luke does die. Luke becomes one, or
he becomes like sort of like Obi-Wan.
He becomes one with the Force.
Yeah, that didn't really bother me.
I could not stop giggling when Luke disappeared.
What? Oh, really? I didn't mind that so much. That one, I know people were like really up in arms about that. I didn't really. That didn't bother me. Well, I'll tell you what kind of bothered me was that he was able to like force project the dice?
How do you hold... That was one of my biggest questions. How would you astral project dice and have them feel like someone's holding dice to two people? Two people touched them. He gave them to Leia, and then Leia gave them to Kylo. So he...
No.
Yes.
When?
He gives them to both of them, or they both touch the dice.
Oh, okay.
They both hold the dice that are hologram dice. They're not real dice. I have a very big question. How do you drop bombs in space if there's no gravity?
Okay, I guess if we're gonna go, I know this is like your big question. First off,
big question.
Right.
I know it is a world that takes place in space.
That's what I mean. I was gonna say though. I mean, there's a talking Wookiee, and like, Luke milks his own daughter on the Jedi planet. Like dropping bombs is like whatever. Well, okay. If I'm gonna get scientific, maybe the ship was so big that it like produced its own gravitational pull, like an asteroid or a planet might. Like,
no,
can't that work?
No,
I don't know. I think it does. If something is like big enough, it can like create its own.
The moon doesn't have its own gravity.
But there's gravity on the moon.
There's very little. Bombs would still float up.
Well, that's if we even went to the moon, Well, okay, yeah, maybe. I don't know, they're really heavy or something. Maybe there's like little thrusters or something.
This is not the right person to ask this question.
Well, no, but also, I mean, like, I don't know how you ask this question when, like, the Force exists. And how do you move things with your mind?
Well, also, you don't die in space, too. This movie established that you can live in space for a time. You can actually die and freeze, but then use, force powers.
Yeah, so we're referring to Leia, who is like the only person that was sort of physically unscathed by the whole, I don't know, captain's area of the ship exploding out. How she wasn't sucked into like a black hole or just shot into space.
Or just got like blown up into pieces.
Yeah, I know. So that was really lame to me. I didn't like that they did that. I kind of, when it happened, I was like, cool, like, Leia's killed off. Like, we're done. Like, I mean, unfortunately, we'll talk about later. I mean, Carrie Fisher is no longer with us. I don't know how they're going to figure out the storyline. And I was sort of like, cool, kind of do it early on in the movie, the first half of the movie. And, like, that's a great sort of, like, character building thing for Poe and on Holdo and, like, all these other characters. And it was just like, do we need Leia exactly? And I thought that was sort of like a fitting, if albeit sort of horrible way to get rid of her. But then for her to just sort of
for the rest of the movie, she's basically in a space coma.
Yeah, and then so she like, I guess we start to see like frost appearing on her body. Obviously it's cold in space, but then she somehow like wakes up but keeps her eyes closed, I guess, so that her eyeballs don't shoot out or do whatever they do in space.
I didn't think of that.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know. Obviously, I mean, neither of us are scientists, so if there's anyone with a physics degree out there listening, maybe they could give us some tips on this. But yeah, and then she somehow force pulls herself into the ship, and then she's in a coma. Yeah, I hated this. This was like one of my... It like took me out of the movie. Like, all of a sudden I was like, so we're doing this now? Like, it sort of felt like one of those, like, so Leia can't be killed. Like she's like she MacGyvers her way out of this.
It was a little bit just, there's no way you're gonna live. You die when you enter space.
I know. Well,
you die when you enter space.
That's the thing I actually would love. If anybody does know an answer to this, like, how long can you? Because you see that
It's instant.
Is it instant?
Yes, it's instant.
Because I know, like, you see in movies,
Did you take science in school?
No, but I mean, like, is that a question in your like biology class?
I definitely learned what I learned about space as a child, just from even the Magic School Bus, that you die instantly.
I don't know. I'd be curious on like the full, because that's a thing that like is now like, and maybe this is like my own stupidity of like pop culture, because like it's in so many sci-fi shows and books and movies where like you kind of have like a slight grace period. Like you can sort of live for like a few seconds, you know, like I think is it in like Event Horizon or something? There's like one of them, like he like plugs his ears with his fingers and like sort of jumps out and like spins into like another.
I don't know about that at all. Because
like I'll tell you this, and not that this is really, we're getting really off topic here, but not that this is necessarily the same thing, but like if you shoot a gun in an airplane and it hits the window, it's not like Goldfinger where you get sucked out through like a little tiny hole. So I'm just saying maybe there's a chance that you could live for like a second or two in space. I mean, granted, Leia's out there for like a few minutes, it seems.
Yeah, she's out there for a while. Yeah, she's out there for a while. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. It doesn't really matter.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess so, but you know, I don't know.
The weird rule breaking like that. It sort of just felt like it didn't really pay attention to the rest of the history of the universe.
Right. Well, I guess, I mean, just because we never saw it doesn't mean you can't do it. I mean, like, obviously, like, Obi-Wan, like, I mean, he disappears. Nobody really questioned that when, like, Vader kills him and then he appears as, like, a Jedi ghost. So, like, maybe, I mean, I'm only defending it just to play devil's advocate. I hated Leia force pulling into it just didn't make any sense.
It looked ridiculous too.
Yeah, it was also just like cheesy CGI. It looked really kind of dumb. It looked like that horrible scene in Rogue One where you see this sort of like computer generated Carrie Fisher. Like it sort of reminded me of that. Well, I guess we can kind of move on from that. The force flying. I mean, yeah, those were some of the big sort of disappointments.
If you haven't seen this movie yet and you're listening, you must think it's crazy. It sounds insane. What we're saying.
Yeah, I mean, no, the rule breaking is. I don't know, that stuff. I was kind of like, whatever. Like, it's the force. Like, we don't. What do we really know about it? You know, like that's like one of my critiques of like the super fan. I mean, no, maybe I think a lot of people. And I've only read like one or two of the Star Wars extended universe books. But they definitely, in the extended universe, they do explain a lot more about like the Force and all those things. So maybe those sorts of things are kind of like I know there's also like in Knights of the Old Republic, the video game, there's like some sort of stuff that's like similar to like the Force.
I heard that there's certain things that they've taken out of the canon. There's like official Star Wars. Yeah. And then there's other stuff. And apparently the official stuff for the Disney movies now going on is stuff from that really ugly looking cartoon, Clone Wars.
Yeah, I know. Everyone tells me that like explains like the whole movie.
I don't think I could watch it. It looks
so bad.
It looks like an early 2000s video game.
Yeah, it looks like
ugly.
That show Reboot about do you remember that?
No,
I don't
think so.
It's like a really early CG cartoon show. It was actually pretty awesome, but we'll do a reboot episode at some point. Okay, Phasma? What's the point of her? Why did they even cast Gwendolyn Christie, who's a huge actor, and they didn't even give her anything to work with?
She has a cool body. Like, she's huge. She's good on screen.
Yeah, but she's in like I mean, we get to see her eye for like a second. Yeah, but you get to see like
it's a cool metal suit. She had no purpose, but I thought it looked visually cool.
Yeah, but that was, I don't know, I felt like that was like a lot of these characters.
I didn't really feel for any of the characters. I'm pretty bored with Rey. I didn't really care about the let's save the animals and a few of the slave kids on Canto Bight.
Yeah, I know, I wasn't really wowed.
None of the new characters except for DJ.
Ugh, so
I'm so sad. It's awful that that's his name.
Yeah, it's so lame. And I guess he's going to be like in the new one, like in the next one.
I don't know. I think he's a throwaway character.
I don't know though. I feel like he's going to like come in. He's like, he's like there to be like the sort of like, war is, all sides are horrible and I'm just sort of trying to get mine while I can. And I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I mean, I didn't think they would cast Gwendolyn Christie and then basically give her like 4. I mean, she's in the trailer for more than she's in the movie.
She has such a cheesy line when she dies. It's something like, "You're still scum."
Yeah, I know. It was like, okay, who cares? Like, you're about to be burned to death, or is she gonna be like Boba Fett and like come back or something?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, everything's possible now.
Right. And is there any other sort of trashing of? I mean, we didn't really get into Rey and Kylo Ren or Ben. I love that everyone's like, no, his name is Ben now.
Oh, yeah. I want to talk about their romance, definitely. I don't think they're cousins anymore.
Right, and I guess they're not.
I thought she was maybe a Kenobi. I kind of like if she's just no one. Yeah. I like that a lot more.
I'm still pulling for their secretly brother and sister.
So great.
I want like a Jaime Cersei storyline between them. Just because that'll make it more like epically mythological or something.
I think then one of them they have to die then.
Well, I mean, Kylo Ren is gonna die in the next one.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, he has to.
Yeah, he has to. I would like to watch him die.
What did you think of?
What do you think of Kylo?
So
Ben.
Yeah, Ben. I know. I don't know why it's like a thing now. They're all like, it's like, when did he become Ben? When he like killed everybody? Like he's still evil.
I think Ben's his original name.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, does anyone call Darth Vader Anakin?
No.
No, he's Darth Vader.
I bet calling him Ben would really piss him off, though. I'm Kylo.
Yeah. So I kind of liked Kylo Ren in Force Awakens. I thought he was like a really good mixture of like sort of like psychotic teenager who like shoots up his school.
He's just a teenager now.
And yeah, now it's like he's just like a whiny teenager who's like has a chest like a refrigerator or something with like a tiny weird waist. And those pants.
Adam Driver does look like he could live in space.
Yeah, he is actually a good. He'd be like a good like sci-fi actor because he looks kind of like a weirdo.
Yeah,
like he looks like some like freaky like humanoid person. What did you make of his pants up above his belly button? What's the point of that? Is that just the style of the First Order? Or?
I liked them. I've always liked all of the costumes in Star Wars. Even that's the only good thing about the ones that came out.
Oh, really?
I loved the
Padme? Or Amidala? Ugh.
I love Star Wars fashion.
I don't like that one.
Really? It's not as good as the originals.
Yeah.
There's something like classic about hot dog or
the donut
hair and Slave Leia.
Yeah, Slave Leia, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, Slave Leia was probably the greatest costume.
That's well, and so what do you think though of like Kylo Ren and Rey? Like, what is going on? Like, cause I read some stuff and was listening to some other podcasts about reviewing the show, and they were sort of saying like, it's almost like he just wants a friend. Like,
so sad.
It's like, it's not even like a love thing. Like, maybe they do love each other, like, or they feel for one another, but it's almost like Kylo Ren is just so alone. Yeah. And like Rey is sort of the only one that kind of like gets him, and like, in his mind, he has no parents. Rey has no parents. They both sort of felt betrayed by other people.
Just describing Baron Trump.
Yeah.
He just wants a friend.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I could see that. They're probably the two people in the universe that could relate to each other the most in some ways. I mean, not really. But they both have superpowers, so I guess that brings, people together.
Yeah.
I think he just wants a friend. That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah.
And what did you like the scene? Like, I wanted them to touch fingers. Like, I wanted Rey to like sort of like be like Dark Rey, like sort of go a little bit to like the dark, or just to like embrace the like. Because I found Luke. It was just like, okay, we get it. You're a crotchety old fart.
He sucks.
Yeah, he was just like so unpleasant to be around. And like, I love Mark Hamill. I've personally met Mark Hamill before, hung out with him on a Metro North or Amtrak train. And he's like the coolest person in the world. He really is like as awesome as he seems.
Awesome.
He was like, we both got to meet him, and like he like chatted with us, and like he gave us autographs.
And I love Luke.
Yeah, I love Luke too. And then I found the Luke in this was just like, it was sort of like he just became like your crotchety old grandfather or something, you know, like this sort of like nasty. Like I also was just like didn't get his whole apprehension towards like everything. It was like, dude, what are you trying to do right now? Teach her like a magic trick on this island. You have nothing else to do. Yeah, I know, exactly. Just help her. Yeah, it's like, what do you do all day? You wake up, you milk that thing. Oh God, he milks the thing. That's what he does. Yeah, then he like does that big spear fishing scene. How does he get it up? I don't even know. I don't even know. Sorry, that was a stupid question. Right, he obviously uses the Force. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like that Luke was so like like he expects Rey to know about the dark side, and it's like you haven't even taught her like basic stuff. You know what I mean? Like, thank God she's like inherently good with a lightsaber, but like you could at least give her some like sparring lessons or something. But I wanted Rey to kind of touch Kylo's finger. And so here's it. What did you make of we're getting up towards the break. What did you make of Luke? His sort of the like Rashomon storyline about, did he try to kill Kylo? Did Kylo try to kill him? Like, what did you think? Like, it's sort of the like, do you kill baby Hitler? Yeah, I'm always kill baby Hitler in a situation like that. I would kill Kylo Ren. Like, I understand he was just a horrible bratty. And he was younger when he tried to kill him, so he was probably like only like 16. Right. And probably a little shit. Yeah. And then, of course, he ends up whatchamacallit, killing all of the Jedis in Luke's community college. Did he kill all of them? Because he does say that he took some of them. The ones that wouldn't come. Yeah, and where the hell are they? Maybe they're the guys in red that protect him. Yeah, but they like didn't use Force powers. Maybe he doesn't allow them to use Force powers, so none of them, like, he probably wouldn't teach them. So that I thought that for a minute. I was like, maybe those are those, like, I think they're called, like, now, the Praetorian Guard, I think, in this. But they're sort of like they're like the red guys with, like, the Force pikes that protect the Emperor. Yeah. And then there's always a question, too, like, was Rey there? Because there's, like, that sort of scene in the last one where, like, it looks like Rey might have been left by Kylo. They sort of like put it out there that maybe Kylo Ren left Rey on Jakku, because he like implies that he like knows her and that he like knows more about her history or something. And there's like a theory that Rey was that's how like everyone, because it's like, how the hell does Han sort of recognizes Rey, Leia recognizes Rey, and then we're like, oh, she's nobody. So like, who is she? Like, but was she maybe on that Jedi training thing, like as a little girl, and Kylo Ren like took her and abandoned her, and that's why he has this like weird hang up. Well, yeah, I don't know, but like so was, Anakin and Padme were like, I don't know, there's like a 15-year age gap, and then the next movie they're like married and the same age. So again, there's like talking Wookiees and things. Like I don't know if age really matters. What did you think of the Chewie not eating the new little? The porgs? What do you think of porgs? I liked them because they looked like puffins. I could also not have them. Yeah, I'm not anti-porg. I was kind of like, eat it, Chewie. Like, what else is there to eat on the island? You're going to drink that milk? And there's a lot of them, too. Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll probably talk about this more in the second hour. I didn't think it was necessarily like vegetarian propaganda. I can't wait to talk about the vegetarian propaganda. Yeah, I was a little like, I don't really care about the porgs, or I was also just like, what the hell else does Chewie have to eat? Grass? They brought food. Chewie brings he probably has like a bone that he chews on. Right, yeah. Well, We're at the break right now, but me and my sister Emma will be continuing our rant about Star Wars in the second hour, so stay tuned.
practically narcotics.
Freedom.
Oh, yes, I like very much.
Radio.
You're an American institution.
American Freedom Radio.
American Survival Wholesale is a proud sponsor of the American Freedom Radio. And when you purchase quality products from AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com, you help support this program. Our quality non-GMO foods do not contain MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or heavy metals. At American Survival Wholesale, you can choose from over 8,000 quality products, including self-defense weapons, bug-out bags, and long-term storable food at wholesale prices. We also have custom food packs available, including gluten-free, dairy-free, and vegetarian packs. If we don't have it, you don't need it. American Survival Wholesale is a veteran-owned and operated company which also supports our veterans in need, and we are very active in disaster relief. If you would like to become a distributor, please email us at bugoutamerica@usa.com or call 818-720-0759. We offer free consultations to answer all your questions. Do it today while things are calm. That's AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com.
This is Rick Simpson, and you're listening to American Freedom Radio.
And I hope people support American Freedom Radio. And I hope people vote with their dollars and really understand the value of having American Freedom Radio. Because that's my family. If you love me at all, Jack Blood, support American Freedom Radio. Like, my family has literally disowned me. American Freedom Radio, Danny and Don and those guys, those are my actual family. So please support these guys because they have all the technology. They have all these great things that they're going to do, but obviously they can't do it all by themselves. So not only would I like to see you support them, I'd like to see you retweet them and repost them and really get involved and get on the bandwagon, so to speak, on doing that do-it-yourself promotion, because they're a do-it-yourself radio network, and we just need that so much.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. I'll give you an example of that. When I was a little kid, if I got sick, they wanted me to go to the hospital and see the doctor. Now they want me to go to a health maintenance organization. Smug, greedy, well-fed white people have invented a language to conceal their sins. It's as simple as that. The CIA doesn't kill anybody anymore. They neutralize people. The government doesn't lie. It engages in disinformation. Israeli murderers are called commandos. Arab commandos are called terrorists. Contra killers are called freedom fighters. Well, if crime fighters fight crime and firefighters fight fire, what do freedom fighters fight? They never mention that part of it to us, do they? Never mention that part of it.
You're listening to AmericanFreedomRadio.com, the network who perseveres in delivering intelligent debate, constructive dialogue with true independence. The freedom to broadcast the truth is not free at all. So what is American Freedom Radio worth to you? The empowering information with fun, honest and pure integrity behind it provides an example to follow. Friendships to flourish with the moral altruism that pulls no punches. The hosts sacrifice and show remarkable discipline in their duty to deliver quality radio in service to the community with strength, wisdom and loyalty. The founders of AFR wish to thank you personally for sharing your views and insights to make the best radio and alternative media. Now it's time for you to give something back and play a vital role in the future of America. Be as generous with us as we've been with you. Click on the donate banner at AmericanFreedomRadio.com or volunteer by emailing AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Vaccine, psychotropic drugs and artillery batteries not included.
Launch sequence initiated. We're now in the approach phase. Everything looking good. Control is good. 5, rocket copy. 3, 2, 1, engage.
Prepare your mind to experience American Freedom Radio. Porkins Policy Radio, offering a unique perspective on everything. Geopolitics, culture creation, the reality of the world we live in. Coming to you live from New York City, your host, Pierce Redmond.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to Porkins Policy Radio. I am your host, Pierce Redmond. If you are joining us now in the second hour, we have been speaking with my sister and artist, Emma Redmond, all about Star Wars The Last Jedi. We spent most of the first hour kind of just trashing Star Wars, or trashing this particular film and kind of picking apart the things that we didn't like about it. We will try to, or I will attempt to sort of end the show by talking about some of the things I sort of enjoyed. Emma, and just a quick reminder, Emma, where can people go to check out your art?
My website, emmaredmond.com. Learn more about what I do. Yeah.
Well, you sound really enthusiastic about that. Okay.
I'm on Instagram too. Sometimes I have funny stories.
Yeah, and we'll link up to all that. And I guess for people that don't know, of course, you are the artist behind the Porkins Policy Radio logo.
Yeah, this is a Star Wars, the namesake of your show.
Yes, exactly. Is a very important.
Identity.
Yeah, and I mean, it is like my identity now, because like I get. It's funny when people dislike me, when they send me an email or comment, they always call me Porkins. And I don't know why if that's like, it's like meant to be, I don't know, it's like meant to be like hurtful, and it's kind of like, what's the name of my show? So like, it's not really that.
You also chose that name. It's not.
Yeah. Well, it's like one of those, I get asked that, it's like, you pick the name. I picked it like back, I don't know, when this was still just like a blog where I'd like posted stupid, rantings about like libertarianism and like Ron Paul. And it's since sort of changed from that into what it is now. But you can't really go back on the name, and now it is like a brand, and people know me as Porkins. So for better or worse, I'm there. And of course, also Emma did the logo for Porkins Great Game as well.
Oh, okay. I don't remember. Sorry.
Really, really good. Anyway, we were sort of finishing off in the first hour there before the break. We were talking about the Porgs. We were talking if we were pro or anti-Porg. I'm not really either. I'm sort of neutral towards the Porgs. I didn't really like that they kind of like, invaded the Millennium Falcon and started like nesting everywhere, and it was like, and Chewie can't eat one of them, and it looked good when he was roasting it. But this, of course, kind of.
Would you eat a puffin though?
I guess so. Someone like cooked it for me. I mean, not raw.
I don't think anyone would want to eat a raw puffin.
I mean, I guess is there any meat on a puffin? I guess they are. Yeah, they probably. Puffin. Yeah, they probably. Yeah, I guess I would eat a puffin if it was. I mean, I don't think I would go out of my way. But if I was at someone's house and that's what they made me, I'm not going to say no.
I don't think I would eat a puffin. Not because of, like, animals. I would eat a panda on a dare, but, I don't think I could eat a puffin. I don't think I could eat one of these.
The Porgs?
I definitely you could not eat my other animal reference of the movie was those stupid foxes that were the crystal foxes.
Oh, yeah. I didn't really get the crystal foxes either.
Them. They just looked like a video game character.
Yeah, or like something out of like A Wrinkle in Time, like, or some sort of like Chronicles of Narnia. It was like young adult like adventure fiction,
I felt that a little bit.
Well, on the whole issue of the Porgs, and apparently if people are.
Well, I think I also like the Porgs because my favorite species in all of Star Wars is Ewoks.
Ewoks, yeah.
I love Ewoks. I, as a kid, had like a little Ewok stuffed animal.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Loved to death. I love, everything about Ewoks. I love. There's like a terrible movie about Endor with like a little kid.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest kind of criticism for Force Awakens was I really wanted at the bar scene when they go visit Maz. I wanted just one drunk fat Ewok in the background. Didn't have to have a line, didn't have to say anything. It could have been like, debate if it even was in the shot,
maybe it
but
wasn't
I just
an Ewok.
really wanted that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm pro Ewok as well. I don't know why people are so...
People hate them.
Yeah, I know.
They took they helped take down the Empire.
I know. It's like a weird
They probably
thing.
killed them all after, though.
Oh, I'm sure the First Order went and
definitely.
Ewok
Demolished.
genocide.
Oh, God, yeah. Or maybe even the rebels. They're like, they know too much. These little teddy bears took this down. We can't have them around.
But I guess on the sort of like, with like cute animals and stuff, this brings, I know people might be concerned about why we're sticking with Ewoks and Porgs right now, but there is like a strange, as I sort of said at the end, there is this like belief that the Chewie not eating the Porg is more evidence that the social justice warriors have infiltrated the Star Wars universe, and that this was actually, I'm not joking, a propaganda for the vegetarians. That this was like a deliberate thing to, I guess, along with making the frogs gay, they're also, they're trying to influence
Is that what they're
us.
doing?
Well, that's like what Alex Jones thinks, but, along with that, they're also trying to make us into, vegetarians, which I guess is like code word for like a weak, sort of like girly man or something like that. It's like all these sort of euphemisms. But
yeah, people really did not seem to care for the animal rights.
Yeah,
I didn't get an animal. I mean, it was just.
I didn't really either.
It was more like, oh, that's something. I don't care.
Yeah,
like you shouldn't like. I don't know. Like I guess animal racing can be wrong.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
yeah.
No, I kind of, and this is like gonna definitely.
If I met an animal I really bonded with, which is probably very rare for me to happen personally, I probably wouldn't eat it. I get where Chewie,
yeah,
just
right.
liked them.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I guess he felt guilty.
Yeah.
But it is like, if you're eating a cow, like if you're eating a burger in front of a cow, the cow isn't like, oh my God, look what you've done. There's a lot of intelligence in the Porg, I guess, to know.
A cow would eat a burger if you gave it to
Right. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. But yeah, and I'm not like an animal. I mean, just to my bona fides. I mean, I actually enjoy horse racing and gambling on horses. I'm not like opposed to that at all. I mean, it is like I guess it is horrible what can happen to the horses.
How are you on dog racing?
Never been. But I that is a little bit cruel. Like,
yeah,
they don't treat the dogs.
I've always kind of wanted to see a dog race.
So do I.
A little bit of me's always wanted.
Yeah, just to see what it's about. I
don't like greyhounds very much, though. I would do like another species of dog, maybe.
They don't really do that. It's just really greyhounds. But I guess moving on from our animal gambling conversation. As I said, there is this like belief, mainly on like cesspools like Reddit and 4chan, that the social justice warriors are using Star Wars to propagandize all of us. And as I said, there's the whole animal rights thing with the Porgs. There's this. I saw all these people saying like, the only rich people portrayed in this are evil, weapons manufacturers or good rich people. And, it's like, yeah, there are, but like, this is also Star Wars. Yeah, it's also kind of like, are there?
Yeah. They're arms dealers. Like, they're not gonna.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't even like they're a big corporation.
All of this argument, too, with social justice warriors that people are, as you call them, cesspools like Reddit, are saying, but no one really seems to care about the other underlining message is sort of like, yeah, the military-industrial complex happens, but
Yeah, I know. That wasn't even, I know, that was sort of like glossed over.
Very pro-suicide bombing as well.
yeah, they are definitely into the like sacrificial, well, and so and it's funny because this is sort of like, people will be somewhat familiar, like when The Force Awakens came out, it was like, super propaganda, because Finn is black, we can't have a black, hero, and so, I mean, like, really kind of like, where are these people, like, what time do they think it is? It's like, it's 2018, and these people are still kind of obsessed with, like, you can't have a black character in love with a white woman. It's like this weird sort of undercurrent, and this kind of like...
Well, she does fall in love with a white man in this one.
Well, and I'm going to get to that later. But, you know...
It might be her brother.
Yeah. So this is sort of like a weird thing, and I think this is sort of... And I've talked about this before on the show with Ryan Carey. We talked about this sort of social justice warrior stuff in the comics industry, and how, you know, misogynistic and racist a lot of comic book writers are, and how the fandom can be like that. And Emma, I guess as a woman...
I am a woman.
You are a woman. I wanted to just kind of get your take, because a lot of this seems, and then we'll kind of get into some more details, but a lot of this is like, it doesn't surprise me, because so, especially the Star Wars community and like the fandom are mostly like white guys who have never really grown out of this like infantilized version of like their lives where they were little kids and they watched Star Wars.
I don't know if it's mostly the fandom. I don't think that's fair at all. But yeah, I think that it's people have this such a almost kind of unhealthy relationship to certain things, and to works of fiction especially, that you can't really do anything to please them because it's so grounded in such a weird kind of dark personal.
That's what and it's like this weird like Leave It to Beaver like 1950s, you know, like men and women and no, you know, interracial, you know. I know that sounds like a kind of extreme. I guess that was extreme to sort of blanket statement the Star Wars community, but
yeah, I feel
there's
like
I
love Star Wars.
So do I, but it doesn't surprise me that people are like, this is disgusting, like, you know.
I think those are people too that they will complain about anything, and it's more just that Star Wars is such a big cultural phenomenon that whatever happens in it is always going to be kind of sensationalized, not necessarily in a bad way, but just people like that would object to that in anything and be like a black stormtrooper.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess what strikes me though is that it does go back to this like undercurrent that a lot of the, you know, in the nerd community are these people that like they grew up on these things as children, and they sort of, I think there's just sort of this like arrested development that like, because I saw Star Wars when I was like a little kid in the 80s, Reagan was around, you know, and it's like the member berries.
America was great again.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of like member berries kind of like weird nostalgia. And then to see anything updated even a little bit, it's like some sort of affront to, you know, again, it's like they find out that their mom had an affair, you know, with a black guy. You know, it's like, oh my God. It's just like their life kind of comes crumbling around them. And as like a sort of an example of this, we could kind of talk, because there was a lot of hubbub about this character Rose Tico, who, of course, I don't have her name up just in front of me. I'll try and pull it up. But she's a Vietnamese American actress. This is like her first big movie. She's been in some other stuff as well. And of course I still can't, it's Kelly Marie Tran. And she is sort of like teamed up with Finn in this movie. And she has sort of gotten, I mean, just hatred from so many people on the internet, attacking her, you know, saying that she's, well, what do they keep saying? She's not unconventional.
Yeah, she just has a round face. Like, she's a very normal, she's very attractive looking. Yeah. I don't understand. She looks just like an actress.
Yeah, she looks like a movie star.
Yeah, she's also like, maybe just because she's in like a jumpsuit, like a frumpy jumpsuit the whole movie, but yeah, they make her out to be, just like
the ugly friend at the bar, you know, that like you get stuck with. It was a little
bit of like well, I guess I'm gonna just be the, you know, the sidekick.
Yeah,
always
totally.
A bridesmaid's, never a bride, kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
And it was so stupid. But yeah, people. I think people are just always gonna complain about when they see something in a movie that, I guess, like diversity that they don't like.
Yeah,
it just upsets them.
Well, and here's my sort of issue with it, because like I didn't like Rose. I thought she was just
I just
like
feel like they didn't give her anything. I didn't have anything against her. I mean, her whole she was definitely a horse girl. Like, she's that kind of girl in the movie where like when she touched that weird horse
animal
thing, definitely a horse girl, space horse girl. But I mean, her story was pretty boring, and I also am remembering her sister is the one that kicked.
Yeah. She's
that
her
would
twin.
not drop in a zero gravity environment. Yeah, and that's how she died.
Right.
Suicide bomber.
Another pro suicide bomber moment. Well, and like you said too, I thought it was so. And this is what I found so funny was that half of the community is like attacking this poor woman, and then the other half is like, this is such a step for progressive, Hollywood, step forward and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sorry, just because they cast an Asian woman, okay, doesn't mean that it's progressive. They gave her almost nothing to work with. She had no character. Nothing really happens. And the only purpose she serves is to teach a man a lesson. Yeah, I know. It was like to teach a man compassion. Which is like such an old trope of like, especially like in fantasy and like science fiction, there's always this like woman who's just sort of there, and it's in a lot of fiction, but you see that a lot in fantasy science fiction. This woman is just sort of there to teach a man a lesson. And, I don't know how that's supposed to, like, of course in the warped sort of progressive Hollywood mindset, I'm sure, but I actually found it really patronizing. That was like, that's your idea. And then kind of the same with like Holdo. I know a lot of people didn't like Holdo. There's this weird theory that she's a lesbian and like that's why she like hates Poe because he's like the big tough alpha male.
Well, all lesbians hate men.
Yeah, exactly. Right. No, I know. Yeah, exactly. That's the other.
Knew that.
Right. That's the other assertion we can get from that. Lesbians all hate men.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, Holdo. So, and granted, the coolest scene in the entire movie is when Holdo turns that big ship around and like jumps to light speed.
That was pretty cool.
That was awesome.
Even this movie, I love Laura Dern.
Me too. And I was like, I was so upset that she was, again, what's her character? She's a cold witch, who for almost.
Or not even a cold witch. She's just sort of this like kind of non-feeling, very meticulous kind of.
Right, exactly. She's got, yeah. And so much of it is like, whatchamacallit, she's like, we're under the impression that she's screwing up the whole time. It's like dumb woman who thinks she can do everything. And then she kind of screws up. And then again, what's the purpose of Laura Dern is to teach Poe, a man, a lesson about like compassion while she kills herself. So it's like, I don't really know I don't know, maybe I'm like thinking too big about this, but I actually just found it.
It's a little mind-blowing to me that you're thinking bigger about this, but then something that could be solved, like gravity,
I know,
is not bothering you.
I guess so, yeah. I don't know. That's where I'm at with
That's where we differ, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Science
movie.
And social justice.
You're emotional, I'm logical.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know. I found all of that to be a bit, and I found that was like sort of something that like nobody wanted. It was either like, it was like stupid, dumb bimbo has to be in the movie versus like, yes, this is so wonderful. Like, a step forward for women everywhere. And it's like, a step forward for what? She's like, they're both sort of just like throwaway characters with almost no development. They have no lines. There's like nothing all that important or interesting. Like Rose is sort of like the cute, frumpy friend. Like I know that's, I'm not trying to say like that's who she is, but that's like the impression. And then Holdo is again the like, know-it-all, stuck-up woman who, second guesses the, Poe, the man. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of, and I guess to sort of, and I'll throw this to you after I say my piece, but I'm going to whip out my social justice real quick here too, because there's, what is Finn in this movie? Finn in the first movie he's an interesting character. He's got complex emotion. He's funny, but it's not like, he's the joke guy. Whereas in the second movie, he is just the punchline giver. Like some of his lines are just literally like, these are punchlines, and that's how he speaks. And then, more importantly, really get all social justice-y. What is Finn? A black man obsessed with a white woman, and the white woman doesn't even think about him once for the entire movie and is instead obsessed with her maybe brother, cousin, psychopath who wants to rule the galaxy as like a galactic dictator. She doesn't think about Finn at all, And then all we get is her sort of like, who was Finn talking to? Who was that other girl? With like Rose. I don't know. I kind of got that. So, but I don't know.
Rose was like in a space coma by the time that.
But she's still like Ray is like, oh, I guess he moved on. It's like, yeah, no duh. You didn't even think about him.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously there's going to be some silly little love triangle, high school drama that'll happen in the next movie. Hopefully not. That would be cool if they could just be grown-ups.
I don't know. J.J. Abrams is going to do the next one, so I'm assuming we're going to go back to, like high school drama and Degrassi style fighting.
I'm a little okay with that.
So I don't know, Emma. Anything else on this sort of topic of? And I know maybe I'm making a little bit too much hay out of this, but again, for all the people that were like, I can't believe that, they would put a black man in this. It's like, yeah, and they treated him the same way that most Hollywood actors of color are treated, as like a punchline, or as like they're obsessed with, some white girl that doesn't even like them, and like that's it. I just felt very like, this is classic Hollywood.
Character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he went from a lead actor to he's just the like jokey black guy, who's, of course he has to get it on with the frumpy Asian. It's like, what
they
the
don't
hell?
get it on. She just stops him from suicide bombing.
Yeah, and that kiss was awkward.
That kiss was bad.
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
And on the sort of topic of women being abused in Hollywood movies, I know, imagine, right?
You mean in the Star Wars universe?
Right. And this was another thing that kind of drove me insane. Everyone had these laudits for Carrie Fisher in this movie, and she was so regal looking, and they really made her look beautiful, and it was like, yeah, okay, they did. But it's, spoiler alert, Disney probably helped kill her by forcing her to go on another diet.
I mean, I think that they definitely...
They exacerbated an underlying health problem.
Yeah.
And I don't think they helped the amount of pressure that they once again put on. Don't forget that this was like, the Star Wars, they didn't force Carrie Fisher to become a cokehead, but they definitely made it easy for her to justify being a cokehead all through the Empire and Jedi, because she had to lose weight. And she used cocaine excessively to help herself lose weight.
Can I talk about Carrie Fisher for a minute?
Yeah.
I really was very upset when Carrie Fisher died. She probably made me love Star Wars. I always loved Princess Leia. I think Princess Leia to me was just like my idea of like the best movie character ever. She was beautiful, and but she wasn't like, she didn't look like another princess. Like, she also had brown hair and like did cool stuff, and Harrison Ford really liked her. And I've then just grown up loving Carrie Fisher and reading her books and everything she's done, and she's so cool. And just when she died, it was probably the hardest celebrity death I've ever gone through. I really felt bad. And just then watching this, it just felt so disrespectful. Just, I don't know why. I think I just was sort of, I just didn't like the treatment, and I feel like the Disney treatment of anyone is going to be kind of questionable.
Well, and if people are
that's the other thing. It is Disney. Disney is I would think, as far as you would go in a film industry, Disney is part of the dark side.
Yeah, no, totally, definitely, absolutely.
Definitely is more in line with the Empire.
Oh, yeah, definitely, of course, yeah.
So to sort of have everything. So to sort of now know that there will be Disney will just pop these out like year after year for the rest of eternity. It just felt in the wounds.
No, and I don't want to get to that in 1 minute, but if for people that are a little confused, I mean, there is a pretty, I would say, like, not confirmed rumor, but there is a belief amongst a lot of people that Carrie Fisher, they did tell her to lose weight, and they put supposedly a lot of pressure on her. Yeah, and again, how old was Carrie Fisher? I mean, she's been in her 70s?
I think she was 19 when she made the first one.
Right, so she's
in her 60s.
60s? I mean, it's like, yeah, come on, lose some weight, honey. It's like, she's an old woman. Like, this is what, like, she would always say that people are like, ugh, you don't look as hot as you did when you were, slave girl. She was like, I was 19. Yeah. Like, that was the hottest I was ever going to be. Like, that was the peak of my, like, hotness.
Yeah.
Was when I was, 18, 19.
But these little fanboys can't have... It's not a real person.
No, I know. Well, the idea that Princess Leia looks like their moms is like, because then they have this whole like weird built, like they want to have sex with Leia, but then it looks like their mother, so then it brings up all these.
It's just because to them she's just a figurine. She's not an actual person.
But anyway, Disney did supposedly put her under a lot of pressure, and she started using drugs again, right?
Really?
Or
I don't
something.
Think so.
I thought there was something about that.
I don't think she was ever using drugs again. I think she has been sober. She's probably... I don't think she was necessarily ever someone that lived she definitely lived a life.
Yeah.
But I could imagine that... I could also imagine the pressure under yourself, too. Like, you want to look good in this movie that is... so much of it is your movie.
Yeah.
It's, and you also then, you have this pressure from, like, the giant cabal that is Disney.
Yeah, exactly. Mickey is, looking down on you. And anyway, it's a belief that actually exacerbated her heart and that it led to, or it didn't help.
It didn't help.
It didn't help, her already underlying health problems. Yeah. So again, when we're all plotting, and applauding for, Disney and Star Wars and stuff, just remember that Disney killed Carrie Fisher, and you should kind of keep that in mind.
People get so upset when I say it like that.
Yeah, no, well, it is. Yeah, the truth hurts, so get used to it. But anyway, Emma, you had just sort of mentioned there before, this sort of behemoth that is Disney. Mm-hmm. And I had originally mixed feelings about it. I was like, initially I was excited, cool, they're gonna make Star Wars movies again, like that's always exciting. Mm-hmm. But then the Disney thing, I was like, are these going to be like kind of cartoony, sort of childish, or very kind of like, sort of all ages type thing. They're not going to have anything dark or anything. Not that the other ones were all that dark.
I think that they're going to have those and dark movies and then like kind of in between movies. I think it's going to be like a Marvel movie, like that kind of. Yeah,
so it's going to be like that kind of franchise.
That kind of franchise where it's just there's always going to be one. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's sort of just like it doesn't matter. You'll watch it anyway.
Right. No. Yeah.
To filmmaking, and it's just so sad. Like there might be a good one every once in a while. I do believe that's possible. I do think that there is the groundwork and the universe to make something kind of cool with it. I kind of think that he did that with Star Trek a little bit. Like, there's that Star Trek universe, and with it, you can make, like, I think an enjoyable...
Oh, yeah, I think the Star Trek remakes are actually pretty good.
Yeah, I think you can make an enjoyable movie out of them. I just think that in between that, there's going to be so many terrible...
Well, yeah, we've already got this, like, young Han Solo, which apparently is, like, just... one director was fired or quit, and then Ron Howard came in... it's got, what's his name, from, Atlanta, is it? He's playing young Lando.
Okay.
So, Donald Glover. He's good. I like him.
Yeah, I like him.
But, I guess, Emma, what do you think of just this sort of like, cause this seems to be inherently the underlying problem that everyone seems to be having. It's like, like the fans that complain and, nitpick these things. It's like, you realize the problem is that like, it's because they're continuing to make these.
Yes.
That is what's actually making this bad, is because this isn't the original trilogy.
Yeah.
It's never going to be that. And until you kind of accept that.
I think that this movie did help me come to terms with that I don't love Star Wars movies. I love the original trilogy. I love those. To me, those are Star Wars, and then the rest of it is fan fiction, and that's kind of just helped me. Like, those were beautiful, like amazing films that did probably lead to films like this being made. Like, it did lead to the beginning of the end of great filmmaking in some ways, but they're so amazing and wonderful. Highly recommend them for those weirdos still listening that haven't seen them.
Yeah. Because, like, I just see this as, like you said...
These aren't those. These are just something else that, and they're gonna get even progressively weirder and worse.
Yeah, I think that's...
You just don't even recognize it anymore.
Yeah, and I remember Tom Secker mentioned this to me one day. We were like just sort of chatting about we were sort of chatting about the whole like kind of Marvel universe, Fast and the Furious, this sort of like race to make more and more.
The fast fashion of movies.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. It is. It's like the fast fashion. Yeah, it's like H&M like style movie making. And it was, and Tom was just sort of saying that like, even when it was like episode 1, 2, and 3, which were garbage, but even those, they were so kind of spaced apart from everything else that there was still like something like, ooh, but it's a Star Wars movie, like we haven't seen one in a while.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. It was like the magic of that. Whereas now when it's like every year, like clockwork, right before Christmas, you're going to get a Star Wars, if it's not one in the sort of, the sort of overall arching storyline, it's going to be these one-offs like Rogue One, the Han Solo prequel biopic. It's going to be, and then there'll be, I don't know what's after that, but there'll be, then it'll be this new trilogy, and then there'll be another one-off. And it's sort of like, at that point, it's like, even if Fast and Furious 10 is going to be a good movie, it's just kind of like, but they're churning them out at such a rate that like, I feel like you kind of misses it,
It doesn't care about it. It's just movies made by algorithms,
Right. Yeah, like even like, I'm not huge on like the Daniel Craig James Bonds, but at least they're like spaced out enough that like, okay, like I'll watch it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't, I don't know, it just doesn't, and I guess some of those James Bonds they were making like back to back, but those were just better movies.
I also just think that the universe that is Star Wars people care so much about, and it's so, like I think of some of my earliest memories are Star Wars memories. Like I remember playing Star Wars and dressing up like Star Wars, and just creatively it's so linked to so many people's lives that they're obviously, it's now seeing these, it's gonna hurt, and it's just that they're gonna just make them, and they're gonna get, I wonder if there will be, the kids watching the Star Wars that are coming out now, are they gonna feel the way, I can't imagine.
I don't know, because there is definitely like a generation of kids, there's a generation of kids that grew up like with Phantom Menace.
Oh, I know
like
kids
the first one.
Every little boy I know loves Phantom Menace.
Yeah, you should you babies. You don't just know lots of young boys. But yeah, no, that is just like a thing.
Yeah.
Or they all watch that cartoon series.
Yeah, they all watch that
the
cartoon
Clone Wars series,
and they like those movies. And I've even tried to, as easily as I possibly could explain it, try to explain that it's subjectively a bad movie to them. And it's just not, they're like, I don't care. It doesn't really go over well. I wonder how these movies will be sort of remembered.
I think they're going to be, I think
they're still sort of throwaways.
I kind of think that too. I think they're going to just sort of fall in line with, like you said, like the Marvel, now we're seeing DC is about to just churn out, like who needs another Superman movie? Like why is Suicide Squad they're going to make a second one of those, like Ant-Man?
Who is watching these movies though? Because I often wonder.
Millions and millions of people. Because they all rake in, even when they're garbage, they rake in a fortune.
Garbage. They're ugly, they're filmed terribly, there's no story, there's no point to them. I just don't understand.
I think again, this sort of goes back to the whole issue where it's like, we live in this like sort of society where it's like that South Park with the Rob Schneider movies. It's like, screw it, like you'll watch it, it doesn't matter. It's like Rob Schneider is a stapler, everyone's gonna go see it. Like it doesn't matter what it is, and it's kind of true because like, especially with like the Marvel movies, they're all garbage.
They're all
garbage. They're bad. They're just not well. They're either just like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just one long action sequence with no character development, or it's like, who actually cares about Doctor Strange or Ant-Man? Like there were lame characters in the comics, and like they're lame characters when Dominic Cumberbatch is like being him. Like they're not that interesting. Yet it's like, I don't know. It's almost like they've kind of hit, like you said, on this algorithm where they're just going to get, in some respects too, people should check out, Tom's work on some of the Marvels, especially the weird relationship between Marvel and the DoD, it actually seems to be kind of backfiring a little bit. And the DoD has sort of become so oversaturated with these movies that it's not getting quite the propaganda appeal that it wants. And there is some reason to believe that like the Marvel franchise is sort of like on the downward spiral. And it's never going to go away, but they've like almost, I mean, it's like Punisher, Daredevil, like all the, everyone's getting a Netflix show. Like, we talked about this in the bonus podcast, but like the South Park like franchise prequel episode where it's like, okay, you're going to get this video game and then you're going to get the prequel film to this. And then, and it's like, that is a sort of model. And I feel like, unfortunately Star Wars is just going to become so watered down and so kind of like
commodified.
Yeah, commodified, exactly. And I mean, it was always commodified.
I mean, the minute they discovered they could sell action figures.
Yeah, you look at the Corgi toys. Yeah, exactly. And again too, I mean, there's the Star Wars novels. I mean, the extended universe of Star Wars is out there. But yeah, it does feel like, and especially now J.J. Abrams is going to do this last film. So it's just going to be another remake of Jedi? Return of the Jedi, I mean,
I might get an Ewok. That could change everything.
If there's an Ewok?
If there's one Ewok, it could be just a test screen with just one Ewok, and it's a good movie for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I guess, Emma, on that kind of topic, I mean, is there anything else you want to say about just sort of the problem involved with this sort of like mass franchise filmmaking? Because it does, I just, and this is the sick thing. I'm going to see the next Star Wars. I'm probably going to see all of them.
I don't think I'm going to go to a theater to see them again. And I like going to the theater. Like, I'll see a Fast and Furious movie in the theater. I've seen a lot of them in the theater, but I don't know. I think I might call it a day.
Really?
I think I'm saying it here now.
Okay,
if someone pays, like if I know someone that has Movie Pass, I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll go with them. But I'm not, I'm never gonna see a 3D Star Wars movie. I'm never gonna.
Well, I didn't see this one in 3D.
I won't even.
That's a scam.
I will go the last week. It's still playing, maybe, or I'm waiting to see it later.
The tickets don't get cheaper.
They don't get cheaper, but I'm not gonna. I had to wait online to see this. The line was so long, and I can't. I don't know why. I felt bad being on that line afterwards.
Well, I don't know. I think, and this is probably like that creepy hold that they know they have is like, I probably will pay to see the next, at least maybe not the Han Solo one, because the one-off movies just seem kind of silly, but I'm going to pay to see the final. I mean, you have to. It's the final act in the trilogy.
I'll pay to see that.
You're going to have to see that on the big screen. And that's kind of like, they know, and then
they know
when they do a new trilogy, it's like, well, you have to see the next one, because
talk about slaves in the galaxy.
I know it's like this.
We'll do whatever,
right? And that
our Disney master wants us.
And I think like on some level, I think Last Jedi is a good popcorn movie. Like there's a lot of schlock out there. Like look at the trailers that played at least when I saw it. Rampage, I mean, that's a remake of a video game with The Rock and a talking gorilla.
Yeah.
Then there's A Wrinkle in Time with like every dumb hip actor at the moment. Like Zach Galifianakis, Mindy, whatever. Oprah, yeah. It was just like, yeah, like this is just garbage. Like it is just like schlocky crap. So like on some level, it's like at least it's a Star Wars movie. But it does seem like we're reaching this precipice of like, it's like, it's just a Fast and Furious movie, you know?
I think that movies are really just become fast food, fast fashion.
Yeah,
fast
exactly.
Movies.
Yeah,
It turn them out, doesn't matter. Yeah. That's why I always kind of feel a little annoyed whenever celebrities complain about, like, pay differences. I'm like, yeah, but you also are just getting paid to make the stupidest.
Oh, yeah, no, I know, right, yeah. Oh, no, it's, yeah. Well, it's like, what's this new Liam Neeson, like, The Commuter? It's like, I mean,
that is just, I don't believe there are multiple Liam Neeson movies. There's just one, and it's just always edited slightly.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
They just change the color, they
it's
change the
taken
lighting.
on a train now.
They cut certain scenes out. It's all the same movie.
Yeah. Oh, and I think this is sort of just indicative of, like, the whole issue of, like, where Hollywood is. Because it's almost now where it's like you're not going to get a movie greenlit in Hollywood if it's not like, okay, but, like, what's the next 4 of them?
Yeah.
And, like, how do I sell this on a t-shirt or a hat, you know? And that's like the Wrinkle in Time. There's going to be Wrinkle in Time 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, they're going to make those forever. The Rock makes like 4 or 5 movies a year. He said he's not even going to run for president until like 2022 because that's when his like Hollywood schedule opens up enough that he could campaign. You know, and Tom and I talked in our Boxing Day special. We're both huge supporters of The Rock running.
Really?
Definitely,
okay.
Yes. I mean, there's no way he could be any worse than anybody else.
No. I don't think there's any way he could be worse, but it is sort of, it just sort of feels like, is having a movie star as a president really what we need for the world?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't think it's going to be
But it's not
worse.
a movie star, it's The Rock.
I know, it is The
First
Rock.
he would tell us, he was like the first person to know about the Bin Laden raid, so maybe he would actually tell us the secrets.
I'm sure he knows about a lot of stuff. Yeah. I think that was an accident, but yes.
Well, you never know with The Rock. No, I think there's
Can Vin Diesel be his running mate?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't think they like each other. I've heard they got like a little bit of beef. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, whatever. I'm not the biggest. I know some people are gonna hate me, but I'm not the biggest Vin Diesel fan. Anything else, Emma, on this? I mean, like you said, I mean, I'm probably gonna see the next one. I think you're gonna see it too. Anything we didn't get to, any little nitpicks or, I mean, let's try and end on some positives with the movie.
We talked Blue Milk. We talked Zero Gravity. I think.
That's about, everything
that was
for you?
Those were like the main things for me, for sure.
Well, let's try to, to say something positive about, if you don't have anything nice to say, I guess that's fine. But
I liked the dress. I liked Holdo's dress. I liked that it wasn't. I liked Porgs.
Okay.
I guess we established that.
And I was going to say I liked that it wasn't entirely filled with fan service. It wasn't like everything was like a callback or like a joke or when there was fan service, it wasn't like beating it over the head, fan service.
I didn't like the time. It felt very long.
It was long. It was like 3.5 hours or something. It felt longer too.
It felt like 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's my closing statement about it.
Okay, that's good. Well, I guess you heard it first here. Emma really hated The Last Jedi. I not as much. I mean, I would say
I'm a bit of a hater. I feel like I am hard to please, and I am like, I expect excellence.
I think though that's the problem with this is like you shouldn't. What do you really expect out of Disney?
Obviously, of course.
And again, it's never going to be this is my whole issue is that the people that really complain about them, I'm not saying you fit in that category, but people that are like really just sort of like violently upset, what they want is to have their minds erased and they want to go back to when they were a child, where America was great, and they want to rewatch 4, 5, and 6. And they want to capture that. And that's never really going to happen. And part of me is like, this is good in like, you kind of you don't need to kill off your childhood, but you do need to kind of move on.
You should try to grow up at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You should attempt to sort of like grow and become like a new or a bigger person. Maybe you don't need to be so obsessed with, this movie that you idolized from when you were a child.
Yeah.
And that's like, again, it kind of speaks to the like Arrested Development.
I'm not a psychiatrist, but I would say it's not a healthy relationship.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, it's just like, you know, it is the like make America great. It's like make Star Wars great again. You know, it's like, it's the same sort of like, you're hitting on all of those ideas and those ideals.
It's always felt so weird to me. It's obviously a diverse place. Half of the people in this movie are aliens.
Yeah, I know. I don't really get why it's been adopted by or it's like the like psychos that are like the First Order is cool, like, you know, like they're the alt-right of the galaxy, and it's like, what the hell are you talking about, you know?
Is there a franchise sort of untapped that you would like to make? Like, what is there a world that you would like to see movies or even television be made of?
I don't know. Do you have one that you're like dying?
I think if there could be a good Dune, that would be cool. I would watch it.
The only way that would happen is if it was animated.
Yeah, if it was animated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there was like a Dune anime, I'd be all about that. Well, I guess we still have about 15 minutes here. And speaking of like universes that I didn't think I wanted to see. Talk about it? Yeah, I didn't think I wanted to see it on the big screen, or on the small screen, at least on the television screen, is Archie Comics. This is something you introduced to me literally last night, and I got sucked in pretty fast. But there is a show called on the CW. It's a great network, called Riverdale, which is, I think we're going to cover on the show at some point, once we finish, at least the first 2 seasons. But it is basically like the Archie characters supplanted into this like dark conspiracy, obviously. Like 30.
Yeah, they're all 30. Yeah, it's okay if you like think they're hot, because they are not high. They are not sophomores.
Right. But it is actually like a really it's actually, I only bring it up too because it's like,
because you really like it.
No, I do. I actually really like the show Riverdale now. It's like, it's got this sort of like Buffy feel to it. And it's surprisingly like, it's actually well written. Like the actors are all good. It's got an amazing Luke Perry finally just sort of turning his career around. This is like the role he was born to play.
I think he was like, how am I going to be in another teen drama? I'm getting too old. And then he was like, I just hit the right age. I'm teen drama dad age.
And it's like this weird, like you wouldn't think it would, but so basically it's like the Archie character, like Jughead is in it with the hat and they call him Jughead, but he's like this dark, scary sort of like writer, crime novel writer. And it's like, it takes place in a small town, and it's like about this young boy who's murdered. And it is like the Archie.
Possible twincest.
Yeah, possible twincest.
A lot of secrets.
Yeah, a lot of conspiracies.
There's already a teacher-student relationship.
Yeah, there's a lot to the show. And it's like one of the weirdest, like, show premises. We were saying before, like, imagine pitching this, like, okay, so it's Archie, all right, but, you know, everyone is sort of, like, evil and, like, mean, and, like, there's, like, a hard edge to this, and there's students being murdered, and there's dark conspiracies involving, you know, the city government, and it's, like, the strangest, weirdest, sort of premise, and yet it works well, and it gives me hope that, you know, maybe that some of these, it's, you know what it is? It's like, that's how you reboot a weird old series. You just take the character names, and that's about it, you know? And like, some of their personality, but just sort of like, injected into like, teen drama, you know, sort of like, it's almost like Degrassi meets like Twin Peaks, sort of a.
That's a good way of describing
murder
it.
mystery, but like in a high school, you know, with like a touch of Buffy in there. But anyway, that's completely off topic.
They should do the War of the Roses, but in a high school setting.
I don't know.
It could be contemporary. Just keep the names and the events. Just do it in a modern day high school. I think it would be a good way of learning history, and it would get a much needed attention to another franchise that you could capitalize on.
So anyway, if people are interested in, check out Riverdale. Let me know what fans out there, listeners, let me know what you think.
I was definitely, at first, a friend recommended it to me, and I was like, that's a children's show. I'm not watching a teen drama. And I feel silly now.
Yeah, it's actually, like, it's addictively good.
It's addictively good. I mean, it is.
I'd even go so far as to say it's not even a guilty pleasure. Like, I would be willing to tell people. I just told, obviously, thousands of people on the radio.
A lot of people are going to think it's funny.
Yeah, it is, yeah. About 10 minutes left, and I definitely want you, yeah, we still got a little time. I definitely wanted you to plug your work and your website and stuff like that. But quickly, too, we're now in 2018.
Yeah.
Obviously, 2017 was probably not the most fun year.
No, I don't think so.
Is there anything, any advice or anything any predictions for 2018 It's never good to have dead air on the radio. So.
This is not a visual medium.
Yeah. Well, anything you're looking forward to? Anything that you think people should be concerned about or looking into?
I think people should be concerned about a lot of things. Clearly, Star Wars is not one of them. I hope that we didn't. I don't want people to think that they just need to know about Star Wars and Riverdale to be an informed person from this show. Yeah, I guess I'm pretty worried about the state of the world. I feel like I had a moment at New Year's where I just sort of felt like, yeah, it's probably not going to be better or worse. It might just be some of the same.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of, I think I'll probably be talking about this later tonight on Chuck's show, but it does seem like the rhetoric and stuff towards like North Korea and Iran is like actually reaching that sort of level where like it's not just talk. Now it's like, no, the axis of evil does need to be defeated, and like here's how we're gonna do it. And you see like already, like I don't know if you saw him, but like the
airdrop the rock.
Yeah, I know that might be the only way to fix it, but you know, they're already talking about how North Korea is trying to weaponize anthrax with zero evidence, which is just what we did before Iraq.
It really does feel like the beginning of the apocalypse, which I think it felt like that last year, but now it's...
Now it seems more like we're
it's not
like...
funny anymore.
No, exactly, yeah, it's not funny.
It's not funny anymore.
Yeah, and it has that feeling, too, of like, now it's real. Like, there was almost like 2017, it was like so bad, but you were like, you know, like this will, like I'm gonna wake up from this nightmare soon. And now it's like, psych, like 3 more years of, at least 3 more years of El Presidente. And, you know, it's just like, there's like no way out of that. So yeah, I don't know. My predictions for 2018 are also, not super, bright and rosy. I mean, especially these like Iran protests. I don't know if you've been following, but it's like basically it is like the MEK is now coming out of retirement. And did you say? I mean, they don't even refer to them as a. They won't even say like controversial group.
Yeah,
it's just like the opposition movement known as the MEK. So that's something to be concerned about. Emma, quickly though, we're trying. We wanted to do this episode to sort of. Give you something a little bit more positive and laid back before
I feel like I didn't
World War
help.
III.
I feel like I really just sort of you wanted fluff, and I just you know.
No, that's okay. I think we still but I think we still give people a little, you know, this if nothing else, this will be one podcast you can listen to. I think pretty much any time this year if you're feeling sad and lonely. But
if you're feeling sad and lonely, it's called Riverdale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and check out Riverdale. I'm sure we're gonna get quite a lot of response from this. So I can already tell this is the type of episode where Ed makes fun of me on his show. And I had you on one time. He was like, he was plugging our Orphan Black episode, and he was like, yeah, he's got his sister. And then he was like live on there. He's like, Pierce, get it together. He's like, and I don't know what this episode's going to be. So I'm sure this is another one that Ed's going to love promoting before his show or
I'm not an
after his
expert
show.
in anything I talk about on here. You did not bring in the most qualified.
Well, no, but I think we all the same. I think we gave the listeners a little bit of respite before World War III happened.
Definitely, yeah.
So, Emma, I wanted to thank you again for coming on the show. And again, people can find all of your art by going to emmaredmond.com. Do you want to give out your Instagram if people want to follow you?
Emma Redmond it's Emma __Redmond, and I do textiles and quilts mostly, and some fashion.
Yeah, and some drawings as well. You've
haven't drawn in probably 5 years.
Oh, well, you have drawings on your website.
I think I have a few. I might have a few. Yeah. I have to update it a little.
All right. Well, Emma, thank you for joining us, and thank you all for listening. And I will be coming to you next week. I've got a couple of ideas for some shows, but until then, I'll be talking to you very soon.
No rules, no taboo topics, no fear of doom, We are American Freedom Radio.
American Survival Wholesale is a proud sponsor of the American Freedom Radio. And when you purchase quality products from AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com, you help support this program. Our quality non-GMO foods do not contain MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or heavy metals. At American Survival Wholesale, you can choose from over 8,000 quality products, including self-defense weapons, bug-out bags, and long-term storable food at wholesale prices. We also have custom food packs available, including gluten-free, dairy-free, and vegetarian packs. If we don't have it, you don't need it. American Survival Wholesale is a veteran-owned and operated company which also supports our veterans in need, and we are very active in disaster relief. If you would like to become a distributor, please email us at bugoutamerica@usa.com or call 818-720-0759. We offer free consultations to answer all your questions. Do it today while things are calm. That's AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com.
We all know that they're not telling us the truth. So stand up for your rights, demand the real medicine, and your right to use it and grow it. This is Rick Simpson, and you're listening to American Freedom Radio.
And I hope people support American Freedom Radio. And I hope people vote with their dollars and really understand the value of having American Freedom Radio. Because that's my family. If you love me at all, Jack Blood, support American Freedom Radio. Like, my family has literally disowned me in American Freedom Radio. Danny and Don and those guys, those are my actual family. So please support these guys because they have all the technology. They have all these great things that they're going to do, but obviously they can't do it all by themselves. So not only would I like to see you support them, I'd like to see you retweet them and repost them and really get involved and get on the bandwagon, so to speak, on doing that do-it-yourself promotion, because they're a do-it-yourself radio network, and we just need that so much.
Assassination. You know what's interesting about assassination? Well, not only does it change those popularity polls in a big hurry, but it's also interesting to notice who it is we assassinate. Do you ever notice who it is? Stop to think of who it is we kill. It's always people who've told us to live together in harmony and try to love one another. Jesus, Gandhi, Lincoln, John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, John Lennon. They all said, try to live together peacefully. Bam! Right in the head. Apparently we're not ready for that. Yeah, that's difficult behavior for us. We're too busy sitting around trying to think up ways to kill each other. Here's one we came up with. It's efficient, too. Genocide, you know? Killing large numbers of people simply because they don't look like you, they don't talk like you, and they don't have the same kind of hats you do. You ever notice that anytime you see two groups of people who really hate each other, chances are good they're wearing different kind of hats. Keep an eye on that. It might be important.
You're listening to AmericanFreedomRadio.com, the network who perseveres in delivering intelligent debate, constructive dialogue with true independence. The The freedom to broadcast the truth is not free at all. So what is American Freedom Radio worth to you? The empowering information with fun, honest and pure integrity behind it provides an example to follow, friendships to flourish, with the moral altruism that pulls no punches. The hosts sacrifice and show remarkable discipline in their duty to deliver quality radio in service to the community with strength, wisdom and loyalty. The founders of AFR wish to thank you personally for sharing your views and insights to make the best radio and alternative media. Now it's time for you to give something back and play a vital role in the future of America. Be as generous with us as we've been with you. Click on the donate banner at AmericanFreedomRadio.com or volunteer by emailing AmericanFreedomRadio@ymail.com. Vaccine, psychotropic drugs and artillery batteries not included.
Launch sequence initiated.
We're now in the approach phase. Everything looking good. Control is good. 5, rocket copy. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Prepare your mind to experience American Freedom Radio.